I've had tons and tons of comments from you lot asking me whether or not I prefer the Ikea Symfonisk speaker or the Echo Studio. So let's revisit them and talk about which one I prefer and why. Welcome back to another episode of Stu's Reviews. Before we begin, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button at the end of the video if you find today's video helpful. If you're already subscribed, force your friends and family to subscribe because I'm trying to hit 30,000 subscribers this year and I'm currently on 25,600. So I'm near that goal, but I might miss it, I don't know. But I won't with your help. So help me out and force your friends and family to subscribe. Anyway, moving on, let's address the elephant in the room when comparing the Symfonisk and the Studio. One is a smart assistant and one is not. So the Ikea Studio has the smart assistant of Alexa built in already. So that is a huge bonus and a huge lead over the Symfonisk because it has that built in. But you can make the Symfonisk a little bit smarter. Now, one of the issues is it doesn't have a 3.5mm audio input, so you can't use your Echo devices plugged directly into it. But what you can do is use the Sonos skill on the Echo devices from the Amazon store to sort of pair them up as the speaker for an Echo device. Now, that's a little bit fiddly, a little bit finicky, and adds an extra layer of complication to something that isn't really needed. So that is a consideration when you're looking at these speakers, whether or not you want a smart home assistant or a decent speaker or both, or a lamp, because the Symfonisk is a lamp. First of all, let's discuss the appearance of both of them. I actually quite like the appearance of both. But the Symfonisk is a lot more niche than the Echo Studio, and that's because it is a lamp as well as a speaker, which is a bit weird if you ask me. And I did compare it at the time to something that looks a little bit like a Lego man. It's not to everyone's taste, but actually I quite like the design of it because it is a bit unique and it's a space saver. If you live in a very small apartment or a small area, small space, then it's perfect because it marries a lamp and a speaker in one. So that's quite a big benefit really for those with minimal room. And also it brings light to areas that might not normally have light. So for example, if your speaker is normally shoved in a dark corner, that corner will no longer be dark. Now, the lamp on top of the Symfonisk does have limitations. Unfortunately, as well as not having a smart home assistant built in, that lamp isn't natively able to be controlled by a smart home assistant externally, which is quite frustrating considering that IKEA have a whole range of smart home products. You'd sort of expect them to have built that in. However, there is an added bonus of the fact that this isn't natively supported, and the bonus is the fact that you can put your own smart bulb into the top. Now that could be an IKEA Tradfri bulb, or it could be from another supplier, such as Philips Hue. So it will quite nicely integrate into any smart home range that you have with a bulb of that type. I think to summarise on the appearance of the Symfonisk, it is a lovely looking device, and the fact that you can get it in two colours as well, which is white and black. That's an added bonus to fit people's decor. If you've got a darker room, you might want the lighter one to contrast, or the darker one to match. There is choice here. Now this isn't something that the Echo Studio currently has at the moment. You can only get it in grey, which is fine for the most part and sort of sits well in most houses. But if that's not your style, you haven't got much options. And the fact that there isn't really much else customization you can do with it. It's not a lamp. It's just a speaker. But it certainly looks like an odd looking speaker at that. And that's down to the bass aperture that Amazon have put in to allow a better bass sound to come out of the speaker. I think that it looks like a little mouth, and like I said, it looks like a severed head of a robot, and wouldn't go amiss if you stuck a pair of googly eyes on the outside of it. I think although the Symfonisk is a bit more niche in its appearance, for me, I really like it, and it beats the Amazon Studio just a little bit in that appearance sector because it is multifunctional, and like I said, the Echo Studio does look a little bit weird, but it is more of a speaker design, so if that's the sort of thing you're after, then the Echo Studio obviously will suit you a little bit more. But as I said, I like the weirdness of the Symfonisk. Now, the most important thing obviously with a speaker is the sound. Now, I raved about both of these because it's true, they both sound phenomenal, but I think they sound phenomenal for different reasons. Let's revisit my first reaction to the sound of both of these devices. First of all, let's take a look at the Ikea Symfonisk. I think I've picked something with very little bass in at the beginning, so apologies. It's about to drop though. That is beautiful. That is such a good sound. Now, to be honest, I expected a decent sound from this device because, first of all, it's a collaboration with Sonos, and generally speaking, Sonos speakers are incredible. But also because IKEA did a speaker before the Symfonisk called the Enemy, and I was blown away by the sound of that, despite its price, and it was made by IKEA. This was the first sort of test that IKEA did for speakers, so I was kind of expecting it to be good, and it did not disappoint. I was blown away. Now let's have a look at my reaction to the Studio. Wow! That is a strong bass. Very, very strong. Turn it on full. That is rattling my whole desk. So you can see both of those, I had overall a really positive reaction to the sound coming from those devices. They both did very, very well, and they're top of the game for the ranges that both manufacturers have. Now, there is a big difference here. Studio can provide 3D audio. Now, 3D audio is relatively new comparative to obviously normal music. And the idea is that it creates a better soundscape for the audio that you're listening to. Now, I touched on this in the Studio review, that unfortunately not every single audio track has 3D audio properly implemented into the track itself. So basically, they're not compatible with 3D audio. But Amazon have come up with a clever way of generating 3D audio from standard tracks. And actually, the Studio does a really, really good job of this. Now, my opinion of the 3D audio was it is so cool. And I likened it to the future, basically. Times move on, and I think that 3D audio definitely has a place in future because it's just something that you can't believe until you hear it. I think this 3D audio is the real selling point of the Echo Studio because even tracks that aren't designed for it sound fantastic when you use Amazon's kind of upscaling to 3D audio. Okay, it might not be true 3D audio, but they do a fantastic job at making it sound beautiful. Although I would say this, if you compared both speakers with the 3D audio turned off on the Echo Studio, I would ever so slightly lean towards the Symfonisk as being slightly better sound. It certainly packs a punch and has really, really good clarity on pretty much every level. So if we were looking at the sound as standard, out of the box, without any fancy 3D audio effects turned on, it would be the Symfonisk for me for sound. But with that 3D audio turned on, every time I'd leap to the Studio because it was an incredible experience, and it's just not something you'll be able to experience by watching a YouTube video. So if you ever get the opportunity to listen to some 3D audio on the Echo Studio, whether that's in a shop or at your friend's house, or even buying it from Amazon and returning it if you don't like it, go and have a listen, because it will blow your mind away. And I think you'll probably come to a very similar conclusion, taking price as another factor into which one you should buy. The Ikea Symfonisk is a bit cheaper. It's 150 quid, whereas the Echo Studio is currently around 189, which is a step above in terms of price. Now, will it be 189 forever and ever and ever? Well, you all know as well as I do, Amazon do sales all of the time on Amazon products, so it may well be that they drop the price. I reckon, using my crystal ball, that you may even be able to get the Echo Studio for around 159 in a sale. But that's just me using a crystal ball and guessing as opposed from actually knowing. So it's everything to play for. If it's £159, obviously that makes the price very, very comparable. But ignoring all that, as it is at the moment, the Echo Studio is a bit more expensive. The obvious reason for the price difference is the fact that the Echo Studio has a smart assistant built in, whereas the Symfonisk doesn't. So that obviously adds a couple of pounds to the price. But the real question is, do I think it's worth paying the extra for the Studio? Now, I'm going to answer this by telling you which one of these I still use. One of them is away in a box, one of them is currently on my shelf. And that is the Echo Studio. The reasons I've chosen to use the Echo Studio over the Symfonisk really boils down to the fact that the Studio has a smart assistant built in, which is the elephant in the room I discussed at the beginning of this episode. But if we were to take away the smart assistant, what are the other reasons I've chosen to use the Studio over the Symfonisk? Firstly, I think ease of use. The Studio is a really phenomenally easy product to use. The setup is very straightforward, so much so you simply just plug it in and it sets itself up. Have a quick look.
Hello, ready for setup. Go to your Alexa app and follow the instructions.
Wow, that sounded really nice.
Your Echo is ready.
The Symfonisk wasn't so much. I had to mess around downloading the Sonos app. I had to then pair it to Wi-Fi myself, and then it tunes itself. We have to wave your phone around a room whilst it was doing it. It was a really awkward experience to set up. Right, apparently I've got to walk around my room, wave my phone about. That was the weirdest experience I've ever had. And then afterwards, obviously, with the Echo Studio being a smart home assistant as well, you can simply ask it to play some music. Unfortunately, the Symfonisk, you can't. You have to either use your phone and use AirPlay to play music to it, or you pair it up to an Echo device and then you can control it with your voice. But even then, it's not always that straightforward, because quite frankly, the Sonos skill in the Amazon store is a little bit miserable. Or my own experience of it has been so anyway. And if you check reviews as well of it in the Amazon store, you'll find that quite a lot of people complain about the sort of quality and the connectivity of that app. So the ease of use and the connectivity, the Studio sings true every single time. It's just a simpler experience. The last reason is the style. Although the Symfonisk is a wonderfully looking device, because it's just so weird, it doesn't quite fit the room and the style that I want to go for. I prefer the style of the Studio in respect to it's a bit more minimalist. It doesn't stand out as much, which some will like and some will not, because the Symfonisk really is a huge talking point in the room. It just, for me, didn't quite fit where I wanted it to fit, especially when the Studio came along, because it was simple and it took the place of my Echo device that was already in the room. Whereas the Symfonisk had to go in as an extra device if I still wanted my Echo to control the home. So overall, space was a premium. The Studio beats it in that respect as well. Despite the fact I've chosen the Echo Studio as my main speaker in my lounge, that's not to say that I don't like the Symfonisk. It's a fantastic device and I still love it. And I'm still amazed that this is a device from Sonos and Ikea and it sounds so good. All I'd say is give them both a go if you can, because sound is very, very subjective, and one person might love a particular sound and another person might hate a particular sound, but both give fantastic sound for different reasons. And if you're looking based on just sound solely, maybe you don't want the 3D audio nonsense, go check out the Symfonisk. But if you want to try this 3D audio stuff, give the Studio a go. But that concludes today's versus comparison video, and I hope you found it helpful, and I hope it's helped you make your mind up on which one you want to go for. I want to say a huge thank you to all my patrons. You guys are incredible, and this is just a reminder as well, hit that subscribe button if you found today's video helpful. Hit that notification bell as well if you want to find out when more Stu's Reviews episodes drop. Other than that, I'll see you back for another episode soon.